Is it spiel or spiel? Comment below. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Tirso and I'm a creative director based in New York City. It seems like people like a good redesign video, so we're going to do another one. By the way, if there's something you want me to redesign, send it through in the email link in the description below. And while you're in the description, don't forget to sign up for a free mentoring session with me. The channel is growing slowly, so take advantage while I'm doing them for free. I keep mentioning process on this channel, and you'll see that essentially my process is the same every single time. So I went around looking for magazines that could use some help. In this case, a lot of help. Here's a page that we're going to redesign. This is a layout that has everything but the kitchen sink thrown at it. The fonts are a statement, the background is a statement, the color is a statement. You're making a lot of statements. There's so many products on here, I definitely think it could be edited down. The type is all over the place. There's no grid. Here are the grid lines, which is not a grid at all. And the border is distracting, which is probably just decoration. Stop decorating your designs. We are designers, not decorators. I would say that this layout is diabolical. I rebuilt the layout. I didn't feel like recreating the background, but we're close enough. I would normally remove elements or move things around, but we have minutes, not decades, so we're just gonna start from a blank page. First, we established our grid. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in every video. Grids are essential, and especially in editorial design. That's my spiel on grids for this video. Is it spiel or spiel? Comment below. There needs to be some fluidity, so I usually only set up the column grid. Here I'm using 7 columns. I also gave the page more margin around. Remember that our job as designers is to always create space, not fill it. Referencing the original layout, they had these lines to separate the different products. We need a system for using these lines. I'm going to use this thin line for the verticals. For the horizontal lines, I'm using a 5-point thickness in black. So for every moment we use a vertical or horizontal line, this is the styling we should use. Let's place them close to the original layout, but using our grid lines. This section at the bottom, I don't think it'll be enough space to fit everything, so instead I'm going to adjust it, but still aligning with the grid. One thing that I noticed is that the space allocated on the left side is a lot of space for 4 products, and the space on the right side is for 8 products, so it doesn't feel balanced. Not sure if this will work, but I adjusted it like this, and we can make more adjustments later as well. We've now created the sections where all the products will go. We can add the products in the respective boxes. I'm not focusing on the placement just yet until we add the text in. For the text, we need to design some type styles. Let's take a look at the type in the original layout. Body copy. The body copy has all the same point size and leading. That's an opportunity to build contrast. There's this inline typeface for random word callouts, and then also these bubbles for product callouts. Looking at the placement of these without the rest of the page, you can see that they're all kind of on the same plane, which is an opportunity to create balance. Lastly, there's this vintage typeface here, which I'm kind of not interested in, so that's an opportunity to remove the typeface. I do want to stay fairly close to the original, but I want to simplify by removing all the color and limiting the amount of fonts used. So let's start in black. In the line styling we did a bit ago, we already have a thick horizontal line on the page, so I'm going to remove that. I think these subheads can get much bigger. I'm going to go from 9 points to 13 points. And since we went bigger, we can go thinner. For the body text, there are some captions with product info and others without it. I want to keep the text fairly consistent, so I'm going to swap the product info with a caption. In both situations, we will always have the subhead and a caption to start, and then product info only when we need it. This isn't a hard and fast rule, just personal preference. For product info, I'm going to switch to the sans serif that we used in the subhead so that they relate. I like that it kind of sandwiches a serif in between them. The final touch, I just want to give some space between the subhead and the caption, like this. There was all this other text. In good conscience, I can't justify keeping them because I don't think they have any meaning or purpose for the reader. If I was forced to include these in my layout, I would light myself on fire, so I'm removing them. We can drop in the text with our new styles. Now all we have to do is fit the content in the respective boxes. This is looking much, much cleaner. I think the content is organized a lot better, and that's thanks to our handy dandy grid. There are still some things I came across when laying this out. On the bottom left, we're showing two products next to each other that have both the box and the bottle. I don't think we need both. There are also moments that have a lot of white space, and then others that are extremely dense. I made these adjustments, and I think we're there. A few things I want to call out. In the top left, I always like to start with a product versus text. We also have some more scale between the products. I decided that I like the knife and the canned cocktails best, so I made those the largest. I wanted to alleviate the gaps that I mentioned earlier, and one way to do that is by having the products break the grid. Since we're using lines to reference the grid, the overlap helps create some dimension on the page as well. All we really did was clean up the original layout. There's a few more options that we can explore, so let's look at a few that I made. So how do we explore more design options? First, let's remove the lines. We can go in a simple type direction like this. I created callouts with boxes, which the products break out of them for some dimension. I also changed the type styles. There are two now, one for the callouts and one for the products on the side. Let's go back to where we removed the lines. So far, we've only worked with siloed products. For those of you that don't know, silo is short for silhouette. You can introduce some lifestyle images onto the page. This is what I was able to find online. It's not great, but it works for the purposes of example. We can also go in a different direction where we group the images and text separately. This layout could work if we put the text on the left side, but since most of the text is going to be left aligned, I tend to prefer it on the right so that we get that nice clean edge. Lines in design don't necessarily need to be a physical line. The edges of shapes, in this case text, creates an imaginary line. I think the product should be more of the hero in this option, so I'm going to adjust the styling on the right to be less prominent. We do need to let the readers know which caption goes with which product. One way to do this is by adding numbers. We'll need to add them to the products as well, and then maybe some color. Edward Tufte would disagree with this because you're asking the user to go back and forth between the product and the description. I think that it's a clean execution, and I assume that the greater majority of readers probably aren't interested in all of the products, so they can just read the products that they like. Then again, we know what happens when you assume. You make an ass of you and me. We can also try an option with the text running across the bottom. This reminded me of Swiss poster design, so I added some lines to reference that. Let's add our color. I've mentioned that overlap adds some dimension to the page. We can do that here by just dropping a background color. It shouldn't bleed on the top because we want the moments where the products come off the edge. There's a lot of red right now. I can remove some of the red from the products by swapping out the can for a different color. We can also use a neutral color on the background. Yes, blue is a color, but it can also be used as a neutral. I'm based in the US, so this color palette is feeling a little patriotic. Sticking to blue, we can shift the color to be more monochrome. Now I think there's too much blue. I do like the cyan numbers at the bottom to match the numbers at the top, so I'm going to change the line colors to black. And there's another layout. So let's look at everything again. Here's the original layout, and then here are the options we created. Do I have a clear favorite here? Not really. I think they all have elements that work. If you have a project where you end up liking a few options, you might consider putting them in your portfolio as part of your process. So I looked up spiel. Apparently there isn't a right answer. Just like in design, there could be multiple solutions, but you get to decide what that is. Remember to focus on your process because that's what's going to help you create a consistent level of design every single time. If you enjoyed this video, check out more on the channel and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.